Welcome to Pause.Rocks, located at www.pause.rocks. It is a platform that contains resources, podcasts, videos, just like the subject today. Before I get started with today's subject and identify what it is, I want to thank the guys at the round table and the women at the round table for giving me the information and the outline and the suggestions to do this video. I also would like to give accreditation to the Firing Line, which is an AA meeting out of West Palm on Monday night, the Zoo Crew meetings, and all the other big book studies I've done over the years. So today's podcast is What the F, meaning what the fried rice, is Alcoholics Anonymous? What's it about? What is it? So for you who are not familiar with it, today I'm going to give you a little history, suggestions, how it relates to my experience, how it relates to the others that help us do this podcast or video, and what you can expect, and the pros and cons. Now, I'm going to do this as unbiased as I can. I'm going to try and be like Switzerland. I'm going to stay neutral on the whole subject, whether I'm for it or against it. Hopefully at the end, you won't be able to determine which way I'm leaning. So let's start with the beginning. I want you guys to picture something. A worn, stained book with a simple title, Alcoholics Anonymous. To some, it's a relic. To some of us, it's a very important book. To some of us, it is what keeps us alive. This is my AA Big Book. This book is noted. I've had it since day one of my sobriety. I've got notes in it. It was given to me. I've kept it. And I refer to it often. But to millions of people, it's a reflection of their darkest moments. It's a recipe book that will help you get through the rest. Today, we're not just talking about a program or a book. We're talking about people. People who've walked through the fire and lived to the light and serenity of the other side. Whether you're here out of curiosity, desperation, or you're required to be here by a treatment center or a judge, welcome aboard. Right now, I'm going to clearly say, Pause.Rocks is a judgment-free zone. Your decision is yours. What you've done, how you decide to do it is truly your own decision. 100%. No more said about that. So let's explore the Big Book's wisdom, its controversies, and the stories that remind us. Remember, this book is a recovery journey. It's not something you'll read once and put on the shelf. You'll use it regularly if you choose to go this route. You'll refer to it. You'll be involved with the book in podcast studies, AA studies, with your sponsor and everything. So let's start with, this isn't a podcast about addiction. It's a podcast about reconstructing your life, about taking the mess and shattered pieces of a life that was ruled by alcohol or other substance addictions. So what do you do now? It's a damn good question. So let's start by, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is AJ, and I'm a level 5 alcoholic. I am in sobriety now. I'm in recovery. And I've been in the exact position you're in. I've spoken to plenty of people that walked this journey, walked this path. Numerous people that stood at the gates of hell, nearly at death, living a life of misery, living a life of chaos, total destruction, and to wrap it up, total hell. I was one of them. Speaking for myself, I was there. Today alone, I'm absolutely not. AA is a tool in my tool belt. Is it my only tool? Absolutely not. Do I refer to AA on a regular basis? Yes, I do. For years, members have stayed sober in AA, not by miracles, by their own dedication to the tools they have and their desire to stay in sobriety. But let's talk about the unvarnished truth. And you're about to face it here. To all those who are argumentative and like to debate stuff, one of the most common characteristics in alcoholics and addicts. Let's debate this fact. Let's debate it right now. AA is successful. Designed in 1937, it has stood the test of time. Nobody has a record of how many millions, or maybe tens of millions, which I believe it is, people it has saved. The reason for this is it's a confidential program. Names are never used. You're not registering. You're not filling out paperwork. There's no database on who's in AA and who's not. But after being in these rooms for years, I've seen a lot of members stay sober. I've seen guys with 50 plus years of sobriety. I've seen one woman who had 71 years of sobriety. That's a pretty good record. So you're still going to debate the fact that AA is not for you. You obviously know more than AA does. You know more than the millions of people that came through it since 1939. That's okay. Just give me a minute, listen to what I'm having to say, and make another decision. Possibly you may get one thing out of this video that you'll use down the road. If you decide to not go into AA and run into trouble 10 years ago, maybe something from this video will trigger you to consider the options available to you. So let's get right to the point of AA. First time it was developed was in 1939. It is not self-destructive and very little change has came apart. In other words, this organization has not self-destructed or imploded within itself, which is very common of church and other fellowships and memberships. Greed takes over, poor management, desire to change. It has not happened. To this day, AA is very strong. Even through the COVID virus and all the changes COVID did, AA powered through it by switching its program to sometimes online. Right now, it's a very powerful program online. The power for this fellowship is immense. If you were to consider AA an army, a group of soldiers, it is the largest army in the world. That's how many members are in it. How do they know that? Simply by the generous donation of $1 per meeting. So hypothetically, if I'll pick a state here, Illinois, in a week, they bring in 100,000 singles, $1 bills, or $100,000. It's pretty eminent by the amount of dollars, how many people are in it. Understand, not everybody can donate. Not everybody can give $1. So therefore, the number still is confidential. So if you really want to debate the power of AA, let's do a little bit of comparisons and bring on the argument with me. Let's compare AA to a large club. Just thinking off the top of my head, the most popular clubs right now are pickleball. Not even close. There's way more AA members in the county I live in, which is the pickleball capital of the United States, Naples, Florida, than there is pickleball players. It's larger than any club, any chess club, bridge club, anything like that. It is enormous. It reaches across the country and it reaches across the world. There is an AA chapter in almost every single area in the world, within reason. There's not one in the middle of the Amazon jungle. However, I have traveled to Peru. I have been to AA meetings in Peru, and it's there also. It's in 79 different languages currently. That's a lot of languages. So how did it get started? Well, in 1935, a guy named Bill Wilson, a failed stockbroker, and a doctor named Bob Smith, a surgeon who operated with shaking hands, They met in Akron, Ohio. Both were deemed hopeless drunks and inevitably would die or be sentenced to an insane asylum for the rest of their life. But together, they did something radical. Its original history is truly this simple. Bill Wilson was a hardcore alcoholic, and he also was a hardcore user of psychedelics and other mind-altering substances. He had marital problems. He had other issues. Dr. Bob was a good doctor, but a severe drunk, often missing his responsibility as a medical practice because of his alcoholism. This was not their first rodeo getting sober. Nobody truly knows how many times Bill and Bob tried. It's estimated that Bill W., just by record, had over 15 times trying to get sober. Bob, there's not much record of how many times he tried because he was a licensed doctor and probably wanted to keep this not public knowledge. So what did they do? They simply held each other accountable. They teamed up. They did not do it alone this time. The two of them together worked each other's program, were there for each other, and helped each other work. It happened. It worked. As time went on, the fellowship grew. From two guys to Bill and Bob, set out on a mission to find another struggling alcoholic. And they found that individual in Akron, Ohio, in a hospital, deemed completely helpless, ready to either get a lobotomy or be sentenced to a life in an insane asylum. The two of them together teamed up in the fellowship and helped another alcoholic. He also made it. The rest is history. Those three helped other alcoholics who helped other alcoholics who helped other alcoholics, and so on and so on and so on. It grew rapidly. It started in Akron, Ohio by these individuals and quickly spread to New York. Now, there was two chapters. The third person who they helped was in New York. He opened up AA New York. The two chapters worked together. They didn't agree on everything all the time. They fought stuff out. But the principle was simple. Help another alcoholic. So how did it really get going? AA wasn't built in a boardroom. The two areas forged a fellowship rooted in shared vulnerability with no rules. There was no science behind this. The stigma was huge, and the stories no one wants to become public. But there was no platitudes. There was no stopping them. They had figured out a way to help each other get sober. Just the unflinching truth and the relentless hope that comes with it. AA to this day says, give us a chance. If you follow our method, it will work. But you have to be involved in our method 100%. So let's talk about this book, the book I just showed you. This big book wasn't written by saints. It actually wasn't even written by authors. Neither one of these guys were professional authors or anything. Other people at this point were involved. A lady named Lois, very, very educated woman, helped Bill take his thoughts and his letters and put them into book format. Problem is, Bill Wilson struggled with depression, and also he was very infidelity. So his social life was not the best. He was having marital problems. He was suffering from mental illness, and getting the book done was difficult, but he did it. So why was the book written? The book was written for one reason: to put down the program, the recipe, whatever you want to call it, so others could follow it. By this time, both chapters had grown, Akron and New York, and people were starting to deviate from the program. In a vote with both chapters, only by 2 votes, they agreed to write what is commonly known now as the Big Book. for the simple reason this is the guidelines, this is the rules, this is how we do it, and we want to stay uniform in our approach to alcoholism. Quick fact, why was it called the Big Book? It was very simple. When the book was written in the rough, this is way before printers and even printing machines, they still typeset it at that time. Bill had an idea. Let's put it on thicker paper, make it look bigger, because addicts and alcoholics want more for their money. So when the book was sent to the publisher, it literally had a label on it called Big Book. That's all they described it as, just so they'd know what book was about to get printed. They were waiting for a name. Unfortunately, nobody followed up with the name, and the printer printed it under the name Big Book. That's where the AA Big Book came from. Okay, the first edition included stories from 40 people, plumbers, housewives, executives. One man wrote, "I'm sharing this because I can get sober. Anyone can do it. After years and years of trying, the raw honesty of me getting sober is from this book, and it still echoes in me today." The original edition of AA's Big Book was published in 1939, like I said, in over 70 languages. To date, they estimate over 50 million copies have been printed and distributed. The problem with keeping a record of this size is these books have been printed all over the world. So there is no database with AA who's printing the books. There's also private sellers and things like that. So they really don't have a record of how many books have actually been printed. Let's put that in perspective. It's the #1 book in the world to ever be printed this many copies and distributed. It's above the Bible. It has been printed more than the Catholic Bible. It's a lot of books. Bible's been around a hell of a lot longer than 1939. However, AA today is one of the top 5 books printed in the world. AA now, as a little fact, is catching up to the times. The book is now available on digital format, so hardcore printing of it is starting to slow down. The digital format is available through apps and all kinds of resources. I personally use the digital Big Book along with my hard book. I highly recommend, if you're interested in getting into this, to get yourself a hard copy of the book. My book has been written on. I know where it's been. I've carried it to places. I've been with individuals and gone through the book. The book has a history of my sobriety just by holding it. So how does AA work? So let's get right to that. It's kind of, if you've never been to an AA meeting, picture a room where CEOs sit next to teens. Plumbers sit next to lawyers. Doesn't matter what race you are, what nationality you are, what sex you are. If you're straight, gay, bi, it does not matter. In a room, there'll be all walks of life. Based on your geographical location, some areas are more skewed one way or another. However, AA is open to anyone. So imagine that room, and everybody's sitting in there who's got sobriety, or coming into sobriety, or is curious about AA, has one simple reason for being there. They don't want to die. Okay. There is a line in the book that says, if you continue to drink, you continue to stay an alcoholic and not get into recovery, it will only end 3 ways. Incarceration, institutions, or death. That line is so powerful and so real. It applies to almost every alcoholic around. There are some that are more fortunate than others. I am one of them. I have hit all 3 of them and was clinically pronounced dead. My heart stopped due to alcohol. I have been incarcerated, and I've been in many institutions and many treatment centers fighting this addiction. So, when you enter this room, you're welcome. Everybody's equal. You're on the same playing field. Whether you have 1 hour of sobriety or you have 30 years, we're all in this fight together because of another line in the book. We cannot do this alone. Any of you who think you can do this alone, you are 100% wrong. You will need the help of another addict or alcoholic to handle this problem. It's just the way it is. Deal with it. AA have mixed feelings on a lot of things. It will never, when you see an advertisement, a publication, a sponsorship, you won't walk into an AA room and see Pepsi distributed for free to all the AA members. They won't even take a donation of coffee. They are self-funded through the generous donations of those in the meeting rooms. $1 at a time. Don't take that literally. Some people do donate more. Okay. They have managed to run a massive corporation on just being self-funded. There's other ways they're funded. I'm not going to go into it too much, but a lot of lives were saved through AA, and people upon their departure from this world have left substantial amounts of money to AA to help the next struggling alcoholic. As you hear me say, I keep referring to AA. Okay, AA is the original founder of fellowships for addiction. For alcoholism. There has been many branches off of that. I'm going to rattle a few here. NA, Narcotics Anonymous, CA, Cocaine Anonymous. There's many, many, many ones of them. They all have the permission of AA to use their theology, their program, to help others struggling. I do expect a new AA to be launched soon called the AMA, which stands for the Amazon Addiction Fellowship. Okay, there's no reality to that. Okay, I just have seen more people addicted to Amazon lately than I think cocaine. So, what's the main parts of AA? AA is simply one thing. You have another brother, another sister that you can rely on, commonly called a sponsor. They're going to take you through the initial setup. They're going to take you through the book. They're going to take you through the steps. They're going to explain how the program works. You don't have to self-teach yourself the program. Somebody will. But you have to thoroughly admit to yourself that you are powerless over your addiction before you can go anywhere. Once you get this sponsor, the sponsor will take you through all the steps. The steps are 12 individual steps, and let's use my recipe theology from earlier, or theory, okay? It's 12 items that you put together to bake a cake. You need all 12 of these items to make this cake right. You need to follow these 12 steps in order to make this program work. You cannot be a part-timer. You can't do step 1 and 3 and then do 5, 7, and 9 and skip 10 and 2. Okay, it's not going to work. Okay, I'm going to quickly go through the steps for those of you who don't know it. For those of you who have heard them, it's not going to hurt you to hear them again. Step 1, most important step. Can't start AA without it. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, drugs, or our drug of choice, and that our lives had become unmanageable. Well, if you're watching this video or podcast, chances are you're not here because your life is beautiful. It's probably becoming unmanageable. 2, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Let's stop right there. Don't worry about this word God. From now on, every time you hear me say the word God, think in your head, group of drunks, group of druggies, whatever you want to do. The book was written in 1938. The word God was interpreted different there. That will be addressed later in this podcast. 4, we made a moral and fearless searching inventory of ourselves. We actually looked at ourselves and said, hey, we are serious danger right now. We have a chance of ending our life over our addiction. Step 5, we admitted to God, that group of drunks, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. We confessed. All the damage, all the destruction, we told another person. In today's plan, most of the times you'll tell your sponsor. When the book was written, they brought into, you can tell a priest, a minister, a rabbi. Today, most people tell their sponsor. Step 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of characters. We were entirely ready to have this group of drunks remove all these defects of character. You see what I'm getting at with the GOD. Now, step 7, we're getting somewhere. We humbly, key word, you're going to have to humble yourself to become sober, asked him to remove all our shortcomings. Don't think of him as a person, just think of it as a thing. Step 8, made a list of all the persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. You're going to have to try and fix the destruction and the problems you did. You need to make it right. If you don't make it right, you're just carrying too much baggage. Step 9, made direct amends to such people whenever possible, except for when that would do more harm. So in other words, you're not going to go back to somebody you damaged or caused destruction or chaos or whatever you did in your reign of terror and inflict more misery on it. Very common with ex-wives and stuff like that. In other words, let it go. Let bygones be bygones. Hopefully over time it'll cool down. You don't want to go hurt anybody else. Step 10, we continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, we promptly admitted it. Okay? In other words, we're going to live normal. We make a mistake, we're going to admit it. We're going to fix our mistake. We're not going to be a complete narcissistic psychopath on alcohol. By the way, I'm speaking in I statements. Who is not responsible for the day-to-day activities, is not a normal person, is not operating in society on an average normal level. Number 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him. In other words, as I, as an individual, understand it. Praying only for His knowledge and His will for us and the power to carry out that out. In other words, I'm pretty sure I need some help getting through this. Besides my sponsor, besides my fellowship, besides my AA, besides my therapist, besides my parents, maybe that force, that unknown force, whatever your belief is helping me out too. And last, after having a spiritual awakening as a result of completing these 11 steps, we carry this message to alcoholics and practice these principles in all our affairs. That is what I'm doing today. I am not getting paid to do this. This is 100% not-for-profit organization. There is no monetary. It's self-funded by many people, mostly me. And this is the principles I live by. I believe in these principles. A book called Drop the Rock was written. It is a direct correlation to AA. It's tattooed on my arm. So, now you got to decide. You got a general idea what AA is. You got meetings. You got a sponsor. You got the 12 steps. You have the brotherhood, the sisterhood. You have other resources available. There's many other books that are directly correlated to AA. There's other programs directly correlated to AA. The traditions, as Bill sees it. All kinds of other books are in there, which I don't want to get into a lot of detail about. But is AA right for you? This is where the round table came up with some really key ideas. The guys that sat at this table, and women, joking around, we took a tally to see what the years of sobriety. There was 222 years of sobriety at the table, helping me create this outline, create this video. That's a lot of years of sobriety. When you total us all up, that's what it came to. So if you're thinking, but what if I'm not religious? What if I don't practice Catholicism or Jew or any religion to think? That's not what it's about. This is not a church. AA is not a church. It is not deemed any one religion. It has zero religious affiliation with any standard practicing religion. The word God gets misinterpreted so many times by newcomers because of the age of the book and how it was written in 1937. If the book would be rewritten to say a higher power, it'd be much clearer. Do not get hung up on the word God. Another concern people have all the time if it's right for you. What happens if you relapse? It doesn't matter. The foundation will be there to save you, to pick you back up, bring you back into the rooms, and get you going again. It's a fact that many people relapse. You are welcome in the rooms anytime, as long as you're sober and have the willingness to admit you're powerless over alcohol in this case, and your life is unmanageable. So don't focus just on the relapse. What if you can't fit in? This is one I hear a lot. That's fine. You're not being judged in there. It doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter if you're social or not social, doesn't matter if your hair is blonde or your hair is blue. It doesn't matter. You will fit in. Nobody is judged by appearance, what they do, or anything. It is a fellowship of fellow alcoholics that takes all together the power as a group. That's simply it. Do not let that stop you from going to AA. The biggest thing with AA is you have to be willing to say, I cannot do this alone. When you realize you can't do this alone, and in speaking in an I statement, it took me a while to do that. It really did take me a while to accept the fact that I can't do it alone. And when I did, it was the brightest, greatest decision I ever made. It's a hell of a lot easier to travel in a pack and rely on those around you to help you than it is to be a single person out there fighting a day-to-day addiction battle. And the only thing they have is their own crazy thoughts in their heads. Big pro to it. It's completely free. You do not have to donate $1. If you can't afford $1, don't worry about it. I guarantee you one of the other members in there will cover it for you. If you need $1, you can take $1 out. That's how AA works. There is no excuse that the times are wrong with the meetings, anything, especially in today's society with Zoom. Meetings are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. At any given time at 5:30, there's probably over 1,000 Zoom meetings going on. Every local county, every area that have any serious population, there will be a meeting. Maybe you won't like that meeting. Don't worry about it. I don't like every meeting I go to. There's other options. There's other meetings. You rotate around till you find the meeting and the topic you like to discuss. There are multiple different ways meetings are held. Topic of the day. What did Bill say? Bill's statement for the day, meaning Bill W. Meaning, we'll discuss this little event that he wrote down, and there's one for every day of the year. Some of them are big book studies. They'll read paragraphs and chapters of the book, and you'll discuss it, how it relates to you. Some of them are actually People will come in and tell their story. Some of it's horrible. I've been in places where people come in and say, this is one of the last meetings I'm going to be able to do for you guys. I've been sober almost 19 months. You sit there like, oh great, it's 19 months. Why does he say this is going to be the last meeting? Because he's going to prison for life shortly, or 68 years, because while drunk, he rear-ended a motorcycle, killed the guy on the motorcycle, and paralyzed his girlfriend who was on the back of the motorcycle. That is true. I've actually sat in that meeting. So there is people who tell their story. They do usually talk about their sobriety and how they did it. There's no rigid format to meetings. There's meetings that play songs and you discuss the song and how it relates to you. There's meetings directly about dealing with family members. There's meetings about dealing with your job. There's meetings about how to interact your sober friends with friends that still use alcohol properly. So the biggest thing with this right here is, as you sit in these rooms, wherever you're at, or as you sit picking this off the internet, it's not a hard decision to make. You have nothing to lose by trying it. It doesn't cost you anything. It can only help you. I don't know anybody that went to AA and got hurt or made their sobriety any worse. A couple things while I close this up so you can get on to further discussions about AA. There's a program out there. It's an idea that most sponsors use. It's called 90 and 90, meaning you attend 90 meetings in 90 days. I did it. At first, thought it was a little overkill. There's a reason for it. It gets you in the habit. It gives you the ability to take an average of 90 meetings, the parts you like, the parts you don't like, the people that are maybe not exactly the type you want to listen to because they're opinionated, they're a lot older than you, they're a lot younger than you, whatever it is. Okay, I highly recommend you try the 90 and 90. Other lines I've heard in there. When you decide that you're going to go to AA, please be open-minded. Leave everything you've heard about AA, whether you think it's a cult, whether you think it's out for the money, whether you think people are trying to pick other people up, all that other stuff. It's all folklore. Go in there open-minded with the willingness to save your life. Another line I've heard, give it 1 year. Follow the program, do exactly what it says, how to do it, and give it 1 year. Every single AA member, every sponsor like myself will promise you this. If you are not better off and happier at the end of 1 year of sobriety, we personally will pick you up, take you to the store, get your drug of choice, and put you back in your miserable hotel, motel behind the mini mart, whatever chaos you had before you went into AA. No questions asked. In other words, AA's got 100% money back life guarantee. If you are not completely better off than you were, AA will honor that thing. Now, will technically someone pick you up and buy you a bottle and put you behind a mini mart? No. What they're saying is give it a chance. You'll lose that bet. Next thing, I've heard this before. If you're still on the fence and still wondering, you can do this too. And I'm going to close with this. If you're a man or a woman, get yourself a really nice black outfit. If you're a man, get a nice suit, black, or a nice outfit that's black. Woman, whatever, a nice dress, whatever that is. And you have the option with that outfit. You can wear it to AA, look professional, join the fellowship, look like that. Impress others around you. Feel good about yourself because you got new clothes on. You made this decision. You're willing to just go with the flow for now. Get in touch with all the people there, meet new people. And you look good and feel good. Or you can wear it in your casket. With that, I'll close. I want to thank you guys for listening. And if there's any questions or anything you need, email me, text me. Whoever is hosting this class will take it from here, but they do have my information. I have no problem answering questions if you can get them to me. My email is on the website. Feel free. Good luck. I wish you guys all the best of the journey, and I'll see you on the flip side.